From Interior Alaska's most trusted news source, this is the Fbx Evening News.
The Air Force has made a decision that they will not be relocating the 18th Aggressor Squadron.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. Our top story this evening, a year and a half after initially proposing the transfer of the F16 Aggressor Squadron from Eielson Air Force Base to Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson in Anchorage, the Air Force announced the decision you just heard from Senator Lisa Murkowski.
The congressional delegation held a teleconference to talk about it, and News Center 11's Monty Bowen has the story.
It was about 20 months ago that the Air Force announced its plans to move the F-16s to Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson to help save money. Alaskans spoke up, saying it wouldn't save money and would cause a major impact on the interior's economy. The Air Force reassessed the proposal.
They went back, they reassessed, they reevaluated, they saw that the numbers didn't add up, that the impact to the community was considerable, and that it just didn't make sense.
Senator Mark Begich said Eielson could also gain projects now.
That Eielson is positioned at the right location, the right place, and now that you have F-16s there, you need some people to train with, and the F-35 seemed like a good idea.
Congressman Don Young said it's good news for community, but also for the country.
But to get the mission recognized is a long-term benefit for the state of Alaska and for the mission. The ability to get to Europe in about 4.5 hours, period, is an awesome thing.
The three local mayors commented on the news.
It's like the clouds have cleared, and there's a sharp view of what's ahead for us, and that's what I'm ready to move on.
I'd like to thank all of you for your efforts on our behalf, and in the last few days we've learned everything there is to know about F-35, so we're willing and waiting.
If it weren't for the folks coming out to those meetings and letting people know the issues that were presented with the EIS and with the proposed move, I fear that they would have already been gone. So, the real champions here are the members of the public that came out and testified and took time out of their days.
The Department of Defense is now looking at places to base their F-35 jets, and Eielson is one of those being considered. Monty Bowen, News Center 11.
With most of the results of the municipal election tallied, one of the main races was too close to call. Last evening during the municipal elections, candidates gathered at the Borough Building waiting to hear the results. One of the biggest races in the elections was the city mayor's seat between Vivian Stiver and John Eberhardt. As the polls came to a close, the race was too close to call.
It is Vivian Stiver, 1,256, to John Eberhardt's 1,340. That is too close to call. That's just under 100 votes separating them. And we have 435 absentee ballots and approximately 170 question ballots. And that's going to take the canvass board a week to review, and we will know a week from today.
However, other candidates there did not have the same fate and were able to find out their standing. One of those included was Borough Assembly Seat C contestant Janice Golub, who pulled in 56% of the votes over Larry Morris with 95% of the precincts reporting.
The main thing I want to do is thank all the volunteers and my friends and my neighbors that helped out, because there's no one particular thing that I did. I mean, it's everybody that came together and helped out, so I just want to say thank you to everybody.
Her contestant Larry Morris did say he learned something from his first-time experience.
Fairly interesting, first time running, so had a lot to learn.
Borough Assembly Seat I candidate Carl Castle, who ran against Brandon Meston, pulled in 76% of the votes with 95% of the precincts reporting.
I've been around for so long and worked in so many highly visible jobs in the borough in a variety of different areas, in nonprofit organizations, private businesses, government agencies, so a lot of folks know me. I have a long history in town.
Some candidates did run unopposed, including Diane Hutchison.
Glad that there's not more write-in votes against me. I did notice that in total the school bonds got more votes cast in total than any of the other races did.
The school bond propositions did draw a number of voters as well in the municipal election this year. Those included a bond to replace Ryan Middle School and also a second bond that would fund improvements to multiple schools throughout the district.
Not surprised. Well, actually, I was a little surprised that the second one seemed to be garnering more votes, and I haven't checked that recently, but was getting more votes than the Ryan. But I realized that was for schools all around the district versus just the one Ryan issue. But in my mind, the Ryan issue is the really critical one.
Bail was not set in the case of the man accused of hitting a 7-year-old with his car and leaving the scene. 19-year-old Rashid Akbar was arraigned yesterday in Fairbanks Superior Court. He is charged with 1 count of felony leaving the scene of an accident without offering assistance, along with a drug count and a charge of tampering with evidence. Akbar is accused of hitting 7-year-old Denali Elementary student Sierra Carson. She was critically injured and flown to Anchorage Providence Medical Center with severe injuries that included head trauma and possible internal bleeding, and was initially listed in serious condition.
A North Pole man is in prison on a 4-year sentence after hitting his daughter in the head with a beer bottle back in May. Kevin Patrick Bailey pled guilty to 1 felony count of assaulting a child. Bailey was originally charged with assaulting his girlfriend. He then threw an empty bottle across the living room where it hit their daughter in the head. Bailey also refused to take their daughter to the hospital, hid the woman's cell phone and car keys, and began to punch the woman for about a half an hour.
All right, when we come back, some Alaskans are questioning new health insurance requirements under the Affordable Care Act.
Also, some intense medical training for Army personnel. That's our military report. Stay with us.
Welcome back to the Fairbanks Evening News. Some Alaskans are questioning new health insurance requirements under the Affordable Care Act. According to Primera Blue Cross Blue Shield, about 3,600 customers in Alaska have a plan that can be grandfathered in, and it does not have to meet new requirements. News Center 11's Tyson Paris-Hansen has more.
Under the Affordable Care Act's minimum requirement rule, insurance companies must provide specific benefits whether you want them or not. This can mean higher monthly premiums for some customers.
We are required to include, by federal law, in the new plans, and that includes maternity care, that includes prescription drug coverage, that includes pediatric dental coverage, you name it. So there are a number of benefits that not every consumer is necessarily going to want that we are going to have to include in all the plans.
If customers recently purchased a plan that does not meet the minimum requirement, they may have to re-enroll in a new plan. However, according to healthcare.gov, if you are covered by a plan that existed before March 23, 2010, your plan may be grandfathered into the new system, and it doesn't have to meet new requirements.
Customers who bought plans before March 23, 2010 have the option to stay on those plans if they choose, and if they've got any questions about that, they can give us a call and we can verify.
If your plan started after March 23, 2010 and does not meet the minimum requirement, you will have to pay for a more comprehensive plan, which could increase the cost of the premium. For some, subsidies could offset the cost. We've posted a subsidy calculator on our website, which helps estimate if you qualify for federal aid. You can also call Alaska Statewide Information at 211. Operators there will connect you with enrollment specialists in the area. Tyson Paris-Hansen, News Center 11.
In a world that seems increasingly dangerous for our kids, there's an organization trying to make a difference, providing not only education for families, but free documentation that could prove to be invaluable in the event of a parent's worst nightmare, a missing child. The organization Operation KidSafe installed a child fingerprint station in Fairbanks today. The system creates a safety record for the child, which can be useful for law enforcement if the child goes missing. The founder of the organization, Mark Bott, is internationally known for his safety advocacy, and he also says the free resources are kept totally private.
When you come into one of our programs, you won't be asked for your name, your child's name. You'll walk out with the only record of the visit called a bio document. Now, you can hand that set of fingerprints, digital photo, that's an area you can upgrade it with a color photo. You can hand that to law enforcement in an emergency, but let me tell you something. I know personally, if you ever have that emergency in your family, all bets are off. You'll hand it to the law enforcement.
It took 6 days for 133 medics from across U.S. Army Alaska, the 25th Infantry Division, and both the California and Alaska National Guard to dwindle down to 5 candidates who earned the coveted Expert Field Medical Badge. News Center 11's Monty Bowen has details in this week's military report.
The EFMB was originally established in 1965 and has evolved into the most extreme test for soldiers in medical career fields. Soldier medic key tasks were day and night land navigation, a 12-mile foot march, and combat testing lanes and simulated combat environments.
Basic Common Core tasks that are also on this lane, such as disassembling and assembling a weapon, doing a functions check, some individual movement tactics.
The EFMB is so difficult to attain, currently few members of all U.S. Army Medical Department personnel have earned the badge.
So normally we only end up actually graduating anywhere between about 11 and 17% of the original candidates. It actually has the highest attrition rate for any of the badges.
Among the final 5 soldiers who earned it were Specialist Justin Borquez with the 1st Squadron Airborne 40th Cavalry Regiment.
Hard course. I mean, I knew going in that it's a hard course, but honestly, I didn't expect to be one of 5. I expected there to be a little bit more there, but hey, do what you gotta do, right?
A common theme among the finalists, they were just happy to get through the course. Monty Bowen, News Center 11.
The Military Report is brought to you by Stanley Nissan. Innovation for all.
Joe Cook joins us now with a look at sports. What's going on today?
Yeah, there's a lot in sports today. We have the Nanac hockey team on deck. You hear from the new captains of the team and a sneak peek at their new locker room. Plus Rams volleyball and a recent basketball camp was held, and it's only October. That's coming up. Hello, Interior Alaska. Joe Cook and Sports Seat bringing you some Hump Day sports. Yesterday, the Alaska Nanics named their team captains for the 2013-2014 season. The senior class makes up a big part of the captainship. Colton Beck, who was an assistant captain last season, was named team captain. Beck tallied 21 points last year and was second in power play and game-winning goals. He'll be joined by assistant captains Cody Kunick, the top returner in scoring, and defenseman Michael Quinn, who are also seniors. Sophomore Colton Porreco was named assistant captain as well. The captains talked about being chosen by their teammates to lead.
I think I'm more of a guy that's a leader by example. I'm going to go out and do the things right on the ice and work my hardest every day, whether it's in the gym or on the ice in the classroom.
You know, you got to lead by example, and you got to be leaders on and off the ice. So I think it says a lot about our class and what our capabilities are. Can't say enough about my team. I have to thank them for trusting me to have the A on, and I'm just going to do my best to fulfill the requirements of being a leader on this team. I think it's going to be everybody that's a leader, not just the captain and the assistants. It's everyone that's going to be pulling together, which is going to be a huge success.
And the Nanics had their first practice in the Carlson Center today. The new locker room and surrounding areas are undergoing their final touches. Here's just a little tease of what you can see. It's not much, just outside the new facilities on the southeast entrance to the Carlson. The Gov Cup is on display as well as a collage of Nanics in the community. This renovation process started a week after the season was over earlier this year. The players saw it for the first time last night after practice today. The team is appreciative of their new digs.
It's unbelievable. It's just so nice. I mean, it's just more of a motivation to have a great year this year and really give back to the program that gave us such a great locker room.
We can't take it for granted. We're pretty fortunate to have that, and a lot of people went through a lot of work to give us that. So, I mean, we're happy to have it.
Coach Reinhaller said it best, we still got to block shots and we still got to make plays and we still got to work hard, so this is just certainly a nice little boost to get things going here this season.
Now, the new facility is under lock and key. I couldn't even get in to see it, but you and I will on Tuesday, October 15th at 3:30 for the opening ceremony at the Carlson. There's more on AlaskaNanics.com. And now for some high school volleyball. Last night at Boileau Hall, the undefeated Rams were without Marissa King and Maya Tompkins due to sickness. The Rams were up 2 sets, but the Allison Ravens won a 15-0 run in the third set, taking a 15-8 lead led by Katie Brower serving and the play of Larissa Franklin. Allison won the third 25-20. The Rams settled down after a timeout with the Ravens leading 5-1 in the fourth. Monroe went on a 7-1 run, getting the fourth game 25-16. Emily Pfister stepped up with 20 kills and 5 blocks. Andy Clark had 25 assists. The Rams are 10-0.
We have more potential than that, and that should have been our victory, but we came out a little flatter than they did.
It felt really good. It shows that we are a team. We're not depending on just one player.
I just told them, I said, we weathered storms before, so we got to come out on fire and start off with our serving, and that's where I think we
To get better, there was a basketball camp in the F. Cochran gym this past Sunday. Local players from elementary to high school age got training and teaching from Emery Walton, a club coach and basketball trainer who came all the way from Atlanta, Georgia to run a 3-day camp through a connection with Melanette Martin. Jeff Zimmerman, the F. Cochran Warriors basketball coach, was open to having the camp, which was the first time something like this has happened at F. Cochran. Players like West Valley Jr. Tyrese Washington were able to work important dribbling and shooting drills and apply them in a scrimmage. Walton says Alaska basketball talent is a diamond in the rough.
I think the talent here is very underrated. I don't think people recognize that there are very good basketball players here, and guys have just got to come see these players in Alaska. One thing I really want the kids to learn is that with hard work you can accomplish anything, and as long as you're going to work as hard or harder than the next person, there's nothing that you can't do.
Finally, tonight we announce our weekly Pro Football Challenge winner. This week's winner is Seth Zaruki, or Rookie. Seth got 13 out of 15 picks right, including picking the Patriots in their win over Atlanta. Seth gets an oil change from Stanley Nissan. Through 4 weeks, Gary Baudette and Glenn Lee are tied at the top. Then it's Robert and Jiggity in second and third place. Mike Schultz and I tied at 42, and Fred Brown is 3 back at 39. And tune in tomorrow as the Natick volleyball team. They get ready for their 3-game homestand, and the Ice Dogs are back in the Big Dipper this weekend. You'll see them as well. But that's a wrap for sports tonight. Thanks for rocking with me for a little while. Mike Schultz is next with your full weather forecast, and we'll catch you next time.
Hey everyone, welcome back into Fbx Evening News. Mike Schultz with you once again, looking at weather. It's good to be back with you. And we're looking at clouds and a few isolated showers in the forecast, but not much change expected. Temperatures are going to continue above, well, right around below to above normal just a little bit, which means the leaves are going to continue to fall. As you can see here, beautiful leaves captured by Ramon Hernandez out in the Chena Recreation Area. Again, if you have a photograph to share, by all means send it to me, Mike Schultz at KTVF11.com. What's going on at the airport right now? Not 68 degrees for the high day. I don't think so. I think there might have been a little bit of a computer problem there. Right now, 45 degrees, the low last night 32. Record high 70 in 2003, record low 14 in 1974, sunrise and sunset 11 hours and 2 minutes, a loss of 6 minutes from yesterday. Our satellite and radar, again, you can see some moisture flowing up toward the Alaska Range. After that, it kind of stops. Not a whole lot to drive it forward, so we're not expecting much to get through there. Just a few isolated showers, like I said, in the forecast. Elsewhere across the state, again, looking at partly cloudy to cloudy skies across the southeastern sections. More rain falling around Kodiak Island along the Aleutian Chain. Some partly cloudy skies up and down the west coast. A little bit of light snow in the Barrow area, 29 degrees there, and Fort Yukon cloudy and 41. Lower 48 weather tonight. Looks like the sun is finally coming out over the Pacific Northwest. Beautiful there. Rain across the central plains. Over the southern sections of the country, lots of sunshine. Temperatures warm, 90 degrees at Dallas. Thunderstorms rumbling around New Orleans and around the Miami area and over the northeast, partly cloudy skies. On our satellite and radar, you can see a little bit of instability in the afternoon helping to develop those thunderstorms. And then more of a good shower pattern moving across the central plains, and another storm system trying to work its way across the Pacific Northwest. You have to keep an eye on that. The jet stream later on this week, for this weekend, is showing a big dive down to the south, so got to keep an eye on possibly some severe weather breaking out in that area. Otherwise, warm temperatures over the west and over the eastern half of the country. Well, back to Alaska for tomorrow. In the northern sections, snow showers expected for Barrow, rain and snow at Fort Yukon, and just cloudy skies in the Nome area. Here in the interior, we'll be looking at isolated rain and snow showers for Fairbanks, Delta, and Healy, so kind of a boring forecast. Over southeast Alaska, rain developing in Juneau, and rain and gusty winds for Ketchikan. Really wet mess there. And over the southwest part of the state, mostly sunny skies at Bethel, some showers at Cold Bay, and rain expected once again in the Kodiak Island area. And if you're heading on down to the Anchorage Bowl for this weekend, showers at Anchorage and Homer, periods of rain in Valdez. Okay, we are not talking about kids' weather this week because we're taking a break off, but we are giving you some weather facts. And tonight's weather fact in 1989, Athens, Georgia, more than 6 inches of rain fell in a 24-hour period there, causing some widespread flooding. Again, thanks to Mount McKinley Bank for sponsoring our kids' weather. Next week, we'll be talking with the kids from Weller Elementary School. Here's your forecast for the remainder of the night. As you can see here, 30 degrees, mostly cloudy skies, isolated rain or snow shower activity. Tomorrow, just the same forecast again, 47 degrees for the high, and the extended forecast calling for temperatures cool down a little bit for Friday, and then pretty consistent all the way across the board for the rest of the 5-day period. And we'll have mixed rain and snow activity off and on through the period. But again, no major storm systems on the horizon, no major cold outbreaks. So that's kind of good to see.
All right. Thank you for that information. Good weather news, Mike. Yep. Thank you, and welcome back. All right. We have run out of time, so that will wrap up this edition of the Fairbanks Evening News. We hope to see you again at 11 for News Center Final. Until then, have a good night.
Good night.